My family rejected me for marrying a black man. 5 years later, my mother showed up asking for something unbelievable. 5 years. 5 years without a single phone call. 5 years without a birthday message. 5 years without hearing my mother's voice. The day I married the man I loved, my family erased me from their lives. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened 5 years later. Because on a cold November morning, the woman who told me I was dead to her appeared on my doorstep. She looked older. Her blonde hair had turned gray. Her hands trembled. Her eyes were red from crying. And the first words she spoke froze me in place. "Emily, please, I need Marcus. Not me, not her daughter. Marcus, the man she had hated from the moment she met him. The man she had blamed for destroying our family. The man she once called a mistake. Now she was begging for him. And she looked terrified. I had no idea that her visit would uncover secrets, betrayals, and lies buried for decades. Or that before everything ended, I would learn the truth about my family, a truth far more shocking than racism. My name is Emily Carter, and this is my story. 6 years earlier, life was simple. I was 26 years old, tall, blonde, blue-eyed, working in Chicago as a marketing manager. I had dreams, plans, a comfortable future. Then I met Marcus Johnson. Marcus was impossible to ignore. 6'4", athletic, dark skin, warm brown eyes, and a kindness that made everyone around him feel important. The first time we met, I watched him spend 20 minutes helping a homeless veteran repair a broken wheelchair. Nobody asked him to help. He simply saw someone struggling and stopped. That was Marcus, the kind of man who made the world better without expecting anything in return. Within months, we became inseparable. We laughed together, traveled together, built dreams together. For the first time in my life, I felt completely understood. And that scared my family. At first, they pretended everything was fine. My mother smiled. My father shook Marcus's hand. My younger brother Ryan made small talk. But something felt off. Every compliment sounded forced. Every smile looked fake. Then, one Sunday, everything exploded. Marcus had stepped outside to answer a call. The second the door closed, my mother turned toward me. Her face hardened. "You're not actually serious about him, are you?" I stared at her. "What?" "You know exactly what I mean." The room went silent. My father lowered his eyes. Ryan suddenly became fascinated by his phone. Nobody defended me. Nobody defended Marcus. Then my mother finally said it. "No daughter of mine is marrying a black man." The words hit me like a punch. I thought I knew my family. In that moment, I realized I didn't know them at all. The following months became a war. Every family dinner turned into an argument. Every holiday ended in tears. My mother constantly criticized Marcus. She questioned his intentions, his character, his future. Nothing he did was enough. The strange thing was that Marcus never reacted. Not once. No matter how cruel she became. No matter how unfair her accusations sounded. He remained calm, respectful, patient. Sometimes I asked how he tolerated it. His answer never changed. "Because I love you." That was it. No anger, no revenge. Just love. And somehow that made my family even angrier. A year later, Marcus proposed. It happened beside Lake Michigan during sunset. Golden light reflected across the water. The city skyline glowed behind us. Marcus got down on one knee. His voice shook. "Emily Carter, will you marry me?" I said yes before he finished asking. It was the happiest moment of my life, for exactly 12 hours, because the next morning my parents arrived at my apartment and destroyed everything. My mother screamed so loudly, neighbors opened their doors. People watched from windows. She didn't care. If you marry him, you are no longer my daughter. My father stood behind her silently. Ryan refused to look at me. Then my mother handed me an envelope. Inside was a family photograph. Every image of me had been cut out with scissors. My face was gone. My body was gone. Only empty spaces remained. Then she said the words that haunted me for years. "You are dead to us." And they left. Just like that. Gone. My entire family. Gone. 3 months later, Marcus and I got married. The wedding should have been perfect. Instead, half the seats were empty. My side of the family never showed up. Not one person. Not even Ryan. As I walked down the aisle, I felt tears forming. Then I looked at Marcus. And suddenly, none of it mattered. Because he looked at me like I was the only person in the world. And for a while, that was enough. The next 5 years were surprisingly beautiful. Marcus built a healthcare technology company. I launched my own consulting business. We bought a house, a beautiful home with a large backyard. Then our daughter Ava was born. Everything changed. The moment Marcus held her, he cried. I had never seen him cry before. Ava had my blonde hair, his eyes, and a smile that melted hearts instantly. For the first time since losing my family, I felt whole again. Then everything changed. One rainy Tuesday morning, 5 years after the wedding, someone knocked on our door. I opened it and nearly collapsed. My mother stood there, alone, crying, looking 20 years older. "Mom?" She burst into tears. "Please help me." Those words felt unreal. For 5 years, she hadn't cared whether I lived or died. Now she needed help. "Why?" Marcus came downstairs. The second she saw him, she began sobbing. Something was terribly wrong. Then she revealed the truth. My father was dying. Severe heart failure. Doctors had exhausted every option. Without a transplant, he had months left. Maybe less. I expected sympathy. Instead, I felt anger. Years of anger. Years of pain. Years of rejection. Then my mother said something that made no sense. "Marcus is his only chance." Marcus frowned. "So am I." The room went silent. I looked from one face to another, completely confused. Then my mother revealed a secret she had hidden for 30 years. Before meeting my father, she had been engaged to another man. A black man named David Johnson, Marcus's father. The room spun. I thought I had misheard her. But she kept talking. Years ago, their relationship had been destroyed by her parents. They forced her to leave him. Forced her to marry someone else. My father. Marcus stared at her in disbelief. His hands were shaking. Then came the second bombshell. David Johnson and my father had remained friends. For decades. Secretly, despite everything. Nobody knew. Not even Marcus. Not even me. Then she revealed the unbelievable truth. Marcus and my father shared a rare genetic marker. The doctors believed Marcus might be a compatible donor, a possibility so rare it seemed impossible. Marcus sat silently, processing everything. My mother kept crying, begging, apologizing, admitting years of prejudice, years of cruelty, years of hatred. Then she said something I never expected. I was wrong. 3 simple words, 5 years too late. But still powerful. For days, Marcus wrestled with the decision. The man asking for help had allowed our family to be destroyed. The woman begging him had treated him terribly. Nobody would have blamed him for saying no. Nobody. Then Ava walked into the room. She climbed onto Marcus's lap, wrapped her tiny arms around his neck, and asked a simple question. "Daddy, why are you sad?" Marcus smiled sadly. Then he looked at me, and I knew his answer. A month later, the operation happened. Hours felt like years. The waiting room was silent. Nobody spoke. Then the surgeon finally appeared. and smiled. The transplant was successful. My father would live. My mother collapsed into tears. Ryan cried. I cried. Even Marcus cried. For the first time in 6 years, our family sat together in the same room, not as enemies, but as people trying to heal. Weeks later, my father recovered enough to speak. The first thing he asked was to see Marcus. When Marcus entered the room, my father grabbed his hand. His eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve what you did." Marcus nodded quietly. Then my father whispered something that changed everything. "I wasn't silent because I agreed with your mother." Marcus frowned. So did I. My father looked ashamed. "I was silent because I was weak." The admission shattered me. For years, I believed he hated Marcus. The truth was almost worse. He lacked the courage to defend what was right, and that cowardice nearly destroyed everything. The following year was difficult. Trust didn't magically return. Pain didn't disappear overnight. But something slowly changed. Family dinners returned. Conversations returned. Laughter returned. My mother spent every weekend with Ava. Ryan apologized repeatedly. And little by little, the walls came down. One summer evening, we gathered in the backyard. The sun was setting. Ava ran through the grass, laughing. Marcus stood beside me holding my hand. My mother watched her granddaughter play. Then she quietly said something I never thought I would hear. "I almost lost everything because of hatred." Nobody answered. She looked at Marcus, then at Ava, then at me, and whispered, "Thank you for giving me a second chance." Marcus smiled, the same warm smile that made me fall in love years earlier. And in that moment, I finally understood something. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It doesn't remove scars. But sometimes, it allows broken people to build something new, something stronger, something worth fighting for. And as the sun disappeared beyond the horizon, I realized the family that once rejected us had finally learned the lesson life spent years teaching them. Love is bigger than fear, bigger than prejudice, bigger than hatred. And in the end, love won.